But they are woefully out of date with the most recent styles, Caitrina protested. Still, something more said bothered her. She bit her lip, not having considered the cost of her father's largesse. Do you really think it was too costly? More lifted a sardonic brow, unable to hide her amusement. Blackmail doesn't usually come cheap. Caitrina's mouth twitched, fighting another smile. It wasn't blackmail. The gown was father's idea. No doubt he was feeling guilty for forcing me to endure the attentions of the endless parade of peacocks he struts across our hall. I think he agreed to have the gathering at Askog with the hope that with so many braw lads to choose from, I would find one to my liking, as if I were picking a bull at market. In truth, her father's insistence that Caitrina begin to search for a husband worried her more than she wanted to let on. It wasn't like him to be so stubborn. That was Moore's domain. Moore assiduously avoided the subject of marriage and returned to the gown. That man would have offered you the moon to see your tears dried. I suppose it could have been worse than one dress. She shook her finger at Caitrina. But one of these days, someone is going to come around who you can't twist around that pretty little finger of yours. Caitrina grinned. They already have. She leaned over and pressed a kiss on the wizened cheek. You? Ha! Moore chortled. Incorrigible scamp. Caitrina wrapped her arms around the old woman, resting her cheek against the scratchy wool of her erisage, savouring the warm, familiar scent of peat and heather, of hearth and home. Do you really not like the gown, Moore? I won't wear it if you don't. Moore held her back by the shoulders and looked into her eyes. Don't listen to me, lass. I'm just a silly old woman who's worried about what the wolves may do to my wee lamb. Her gaze softened. You've been so sheltered, with no inkling of the wickedness of men. The back of her finger smoothed Caitrina's cheek. That gown simply reminds me that you are a woman full grown. Caitrina was surprised to see tears misting in Moore's troubled eyes. You look so much like your mother. She was the most beautiful lass in the Highlands when she ran off with your father. Caitrina's chest squeezed. Though her mother had been gone for over 10 years now, the pull of emotion was still strong. She'd been 11 when her mother succumbed to the wasting ailment, and the memories of the laughing, beautiful woman who'd held her in her arms grew fuzzier with each year that passed. But there would always be an empty place in her heart, and the knowledge that a vital piece of her was missing. Tell me again, Moore. She never tired of hearing the story of how her father had caught one glimpse of his enemy's daughter and fallen in love, of how her parents had met secretly for months, until her father finally convinced her mother to run away with him. But before Moore could respond, Caitrina's younger brother came bursting into her room. Katie! Katie Rose! Come quick! Her heart plummeted, thinking the worst. Who was hurt, and how badly? She grabbed Brian by the shoulders, and with a calmness she didn't feel, but with 3 brothers to take care of she'd unfortunately become used to, said, What's happened? He eyed her warily. Promise you won't be angry. How can I promise when I don't know what it is? At only 2 and 10, Brian had yet to develop firm negotiating skills. He gave up bargaining and started with excuses. It wasn't my fault, he hedged. I told Una. At the mention of the little girl's name, Caitrina guessed what was wrong. Oh, Brian, how many times have I told you to keep those beastly dogs away from the kittens? He looked down at his feet, shamefaced. I told Una that I was taking the lads out, but she forgot to close the door to the stables, and then, well, it happened so fast. Boru was just playing, but the silly cat ran up the tree. Caitrina groaned. What tree? Brian grimaced. The old oak. Katie, please, you have to help me get the kitten down before Una finds out. She'll cry. He kicked at the wooden floor uncomfortably. I hate it when she cries. Caitrina met Moore's gaze.